Okay, this is going to be a lesson on the second embossing assignment. Our first lesson was to emboss the copper, which was this assignment. And now we're going to scale it up a notch and use common recycled material, and that would be aluminum can. So first of all, safety is the most important thing. We're going to use a couple different knives, and there are other options that you have at home that you might be able to use. Don't use your family's good steak knives, but if they're maybe you should check with parent first if you can use a steak knife, because that might be a good way to go. My concern is you getting cut or injured with the knife or the tool that you're using. Okay, the aluminum edges can be sharp, but a razor knife or an X-Acto knife like these can be extremely dangerous, and you can cut yourself very easily. So please be very cautious. Always look for your hands. Know what you're doing. Typically in a situation like this, a sharper knife is better because you don't have to force as much. And this is just my Leatherman tool, which has kind of a pocket knife style. We'll see if that serrated part helps at all. I'm going to go about this, and what we're trying to do is get a flat piece of aluminum. Okay, dealing with this end and this end, we really are looking at the black section here and not the curves. Who knows, you may get creative and be able to use the curved part, but for this, I'm going to start simply by, well, let me start with the X-Acto knife and see how well that goes. Okay. Again, you need to be aware of both hands at all times. Here you can see, I think, that I was able to puncture that. Okay. I'll cut a little way with this. I'll switch knives. Of course, if you have a knife that's working, there's no need to switch. And that's working really well also. And here's that's a mini utility knife or box cutter. I think maybe the longer blade on the knife is better, but here I'm not sawing, but it is still managing to cut. I'm always cutting away from my hand. I don't want to be holding like this and cutting toward my hand. Always cut away. Go back. Just because the length of this blade, I think a little longer pocket knife type blade could be the way to go. And that's the first cut. We just want to get down. I'm not going to mess with this. This is a little thicker metal, and so is this down here, the thicker metal. I'm not even going to mess with that. Okay. Now I'll do it a couple different ways. This is a regular pair of scissors. This aluminum, we would not ever cut steel with these scissors, but aluminum and the copper is much, much softer. So it is really shouldn't damage your scissors. But if you have kind of a backup pair of scissors, maybe you'd want to use that. You can see this cuts through that really smoothly. Okay. If you don't have scissors, and there's a sharp corner here. I'm not going to say you wouldn't get cut with those. You do need to be careful. what I'm seeing happening here is I may want to do this in steps. I think I'm going to come down here now. Just because there's scissors doesn't mean you can't cut yourself either, so be cautious of the scissors. Here I'm going to so I've lifted up about that far. Let me try the knife. Again, here you've got to really watch where your fingers are. I'm able to cut through that with my pocket knife and an X-Acto knife. It's a little different. My line's not too straight. You want to try to conserve as much of this aluminum as possible. Come around here. You know, just it is possible with either of those knives, but boy, with these scissors, it's by far the easiest. All right, there we go. These pieces, I might have to think of another project. Actually, I know of another project, but you could discard these now. They're recyclable. So now with our piece of aluminum here, you can see it wants to roll back up. So a couple ways to go about this. Simply by putting a hem on the two long sides is going to straighten it out. So again, using a straight edge like this board or a ruler, you would be able to easily bend. Now, if I want to bend here, this may be tricky to bend. I'm going to bend backwards also. But if I go like this, I can bend this up. You see, I got that crease started there. So now I'll be able to fold that over. There are sharp little splinters here. Being aluminum, it's a lot less, I should say, sharp than steel. Doesn't mean you still can't get cut, so do be careful. Now if I do the same thing on this side, that's going to flatten that piece of aluminum out really well. I don't like that rough edge, so I'm going to clean that up before I bend it. Really a good thing to do would be to mark it where I want to cut so I get a nice straight square piece of this. Should leave a mark where I can see. And I didn't even have the, I guess I did have the lead out. So I just squared that piece up before I bend. Now I'm going to, right at the bottom of the rein, about there, and bend it up again. Again, this wouldn't have to be a metal ruler. It could be the ruler that's in your kit, or it could be a straight piece of wood, or almost anything with a kind of a sharp edge. All right. Now, if I have a hammer, it wouldn't be a bad idea to hammer this all the way down, really bend that hem over. Here's my piece of wood. You can push, or you can use your, but the sharper that crease is, the better. Like this, so you can see better. So here's this really great material to work with, this thin aluminum, and it's free. It's recyclable. I'm sure if you looked around, you could find hundreds of cans in different places. I did rinse this one out before. You don't want to pour nice sugar water all over the place, so make sure you rinse it out. Here I'm going to, I'll notch this corner. Again, watch your fingers when you're cutting. And I'm going to fold that over right across there. That'll make for a real nice little seam then. I'm doing it the other way this time, but whatever works for you. I certainly have access to hammers, but I'm kind of trying to show you that you don't have to use a hammer. If you found kind of a flat rock, that might work. It doesn't take too much force. I could use a hockey puck. But something, if you have a hammer, it might work great. Look at that material. Nice, very usable, free material. Pick up your scraps. So here I'm cutting out these little pieces. Don't have them laying around your house. You don't want somebody to step on them. Okay. I've been storing all mine over here. And again, I'll do it this way, just all right. Now we have our nice piece of aluminum ready to emboss. And that is step one in getting your free material, your free aluminum.